Twitter. We all have Twitter. We all know what it is. See it? We see those nice little messages we see everywhere. Some people come to mind and think of like Kanye, Donald Trump. But those guys can be pretty polarizing. So before we get into like the nitty gritty of Twitter, I kind of want to show 3 tweets that I kind of find entertaining to kind of lighten the mood of, because Twitter's been so polarizing and kind of been really heavy on our minds lately. So with our first one, obviously NASA employee talking to an astronaut. You guys are back pretty early. Moon's haunted. What? Loading pistol and getting back into the mothership. Moon's haunted. Next one. Please pray for my cousin Muhammad. Nothing wrong with him. He just looks like a honey bun. And one of my favorites, I need a room full of mirrors so I can be surrounded by winners. So, Twitter, who created it? So, Twitter was created by Jack Dorsey in July of 2006. It initially was created as a message board for the podcast Odeo. Odeo was just a podcast hosted by 3 of Jack's friends, and they wanted a way that they could better interact with their listeners to try to get topics to discuss, get their opinions on matters that they discuss, and ultimately it kind of gained popularity with more people than just people who listen to the podcast. So it ultimately kind of separated into its own thing, where obviously I don't think anybody in this room has heard of Odeo, right? But we all know what Twitter is.
Yeah.
So it's safe to say that Twitter became bigger than what the podcast itself was. There's a picture of Jack speaking about Twitter before ultimately selling it. So the general purpose of Twitter was to share short messages, share images and videos, and catch up on current events and news. Surely we all can think of a time where, I have a pretty funny thought. Let's share it and see what everyone else thinks. And then you think, well, it must not have been that funny, because you got 1 like. We've all been there, some more than others. You think you're the next enlightenment thinker, but really 75 people already had that thought, and they already have 100,000 likes. So some of the general users we can find are white American men, usually aged between 25 and 34. And they typically live in urban areas. Obviously, you don't think of a farmer going to be very active on Twitter. You're going to think of your college bros living in your dorm room with you, thinking that they're hilarious and sharing every thought they have on Twitter. So yeah, kind of that. They said mainly white American men are the primary users, and that there's a growing population of minority groups such as Indian people, because of their increasing availability of Wi-Fi in India, and also some Latin American countries are starting to pick up with Twitter users as well. So revenue. So in the beginning, Jack initially envisioned Twitter as being a free platform where people could just go, not to see any ads, and kind of just express their thoughts and feelings for free. Well, when Facebook turned a profit for the first time in 2010, Jack ultimately thought, well, why can't Twitter do this? So with that, he introduced promoted tweets, which you could pay a certain amount to get your tweet promoted onto other people's feeds. Obviously, some of you have seen tweets where like, this is weird, I don't follow this person, I don't know anything about them, and you look at the bottom, oh, it's promoted, that's why I'm seeing it. But this also kind of kept in line with Twitter's values of this is just a user-integrated program where you're only interacting with other users of Twitter, not with big corporations and whatnot. But it came to a point where money became more of an issue, so they added ads later where companies could go in and pay for an ad promoting their product to be displayed on Twitter feeds. And then, ultimately, in December 2022, Elon Musk and the team at Twitter currently introduced Twitter Blue, which is a subscription-based access to Twitter, which here is the screen you can get on your phone when you click to subscribe to Twitter Blue. As you can see, it's $115 a year. I don't know about you, but I kind of like free Twitter. I'm not paying $115 for what I'm already getting. So the current state of Twitter. So as I mentioned before, it was recently purchased by Elon Musk. Very controversial, paid $55 billion for the app. After he bought it instantly, value of it plummeted because people thought he was going to ruin the app. He ultimately wanted to buy it to bring it back to what it used to be, a public forum where people could freely express what they wanted to, because he felt like the PC people were having too much of a firm grip over it and were just banning people for anything that that Twitter didn't believe should be out there. So he kind of wanted to bring it back to more of like a Reddit, kind of, where it was more free speech, not as much contingencies on what you can say to get banned. Right now, obviously, it's big in the news that there's a lot of controversy with it, with accounts spreading misleading information to try to promote their own agenda. So you'll see a lot of polarizing views on certain topics where it's either all the way to this side or all the way to the other side. There's very rarely do you see on your feed any kind of like in the middle, oh, I kind of see this side, I kind of see this side. No. Usually the things that get the likes and the retweets are stuff that's super polarizing, and when you read it, you're like, wow, who thought of this? But yeah, so right now, Twitter is it's kind of a political playground. That's kind of what Elon kind of wanted to dial back on, was it being this kind of like, it almost feels like the forum in ancient Greece, where you go and discuss politics rather than just your daily life occurrences. He wanted to bring it back to this daily life occurrence rather than just everybody screaming, my rights are right, your rights are wrong. My thoughts are right, your thoughts are wrong, and whatnot. So some of the pros and cons of Twitter. Obviously, some of the pros with any social media, you're able to connect with people all over the world. You're able to share your thoughts and opinions in an appropriate manner, I must say. Keep up with friends and family. Keep up with current news and events, and obviously for the entertainment aspect, as I showed in the first 3 tweets. Some of the cons, though, you get this polarizing opinions from political heads trying to say my ideas are right, they're wrong, trying to get you to go all the way left, all the way right, whatever. A lot of false information spreading going on with bot accounts and people who just blindly follow these political heads and want to instantly believe everything they have. Obviously, with any other social media, you have the issue of cyberbullying. Twitter, kind of right now, in my opinion, is probably the biggest player with cyberbullying, because you go to any tweet and in the feed there's going to be at least 20 not so nice messages that you see. It could be the nice thing, oh, look at my cute dog. Go down, that's the ugliest dog I've ever seen in my life. But it's just the trolls on Twitter. And then obviously you have things like hate speech for people. That's what Twitter initially wanted to do with their content control, was try to dial back on hate speech, which they did, but they kind of had a blurry line of what's hate speech and what's just kind of a little bit of insensitive. So finding that balance of what's actually hateful and what's just a little insensitive is kind of the battle we're still fighting with every social media platform. Also, as with Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, anything, there's always going to be misuse of the app. People are going to try to jump through loopholes and try to get their tweets to stay up, even if they have these sensitive topics and whatnot. So they try to word it in ways where the algorithm won't detect it and whatnot. And as with any app, there's some warnings I like to give with people getting on Twitter is double check the information that you see. Don't just instantly believe everything you see from a political head saying like, I voted for this, or this act going up for voting isn't worth it. Do your own research into it. Don't just believe them because it's on their political platform. Also, don't just believe any news event, because I know a lot of like celebrities have been like, oh, this celebrity passed away, and then they'll comment on like, oh, this is news to me. So just kind of like do your own background research, which I know can be time consuming and hard to do, but ultimately any effort we can do to eliminate on the spreading of fake news or misleading information can be ultimately positive.
Nicely done. Any questions or comments for Easton on Twitter? so